Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another reading. I decided this morning that I wanted to do a reading, a money reading, to help us kind of see what we need to do to manifest more money, abundance, prosperity, wealth into our lives. To receive these messages from Spirit. So I will get started. Hope you all are having a wonderful day so far. This is kind of a morning thing for me today. Spirit, please send us some money messages for our viewer. What can they do to attract more money, abundance, wealth, and prosperity? What messages do my viewer need to see and hear? All right, the first card is the Queen of Pentacles. And you know what? The Queen of Pentacles kept coming out as I was cleansing my decks this morning and shuffling my cards. So let's see. Oh, that is crazy. I wish I had started recording. I actually was thinking of recording my shuffle and cleansing, but this card also came out earlier. It was underneath the deck, the Two of Wands, so interesting. Let's see what other money message. Oh, and the Chariot. That is a good message. So you can see those cards there. And underneath the deck, we have the Three of Pentacles. All right. And the Ten of Cups is under that. So the Ten of Cups under the Three of Pentacles as the overall energy. So, let's see. I'm going to get clarifiers. I'm going to put this over there. Reach for my other deck. I'm going to get clarifiers for these as well. Oh, wow. Okay. That was also under the deck as I picked it up. I'm not sure if anybody of you caught that. And clarify the Chariot, the Moon, and the Page of Cups underneath the deck. And I'm going to grab one oracle, and then we'll talk about these cards. And we have J. Paul Getty. So I'll read that. And then underneath the deck we have Janet. This is Janet Yellen. Sorry, I know my camera's kind of close today. I'll read both of these messages. So this message, J. Paul Getty, says, freebies don't build trust funds. A true friend splits the bill, even with a billionaire. Frugality in life, generosity thereafter. All right. And then underneath the deck, Janet Yellen, if it's going to crash, it needs government cash. When it rains, make it rain. You can teach a man to fish, but you'll also need to stimulate a fishing industry. You know what? I just noticed that my light is not on. So sorry. I hope that makes it a little bit better. There we go. So Janet Yellen. I don't know who either of these two people are. But let's read more about them. And I'm seeing Susie Orman underneath the deck over there also. So let's see. Let's read about J. Paul Getty. Please do not criticize. I don't know these people other than Susie Orman. I know Susie Orman. I listened to her a lot about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long. Where are you? Okay, J. Paul Getty. Oil runs the world, and J. Paul Getty ran Getty Oil. Once the wealthiest private citizen on earth, he kept friends at arm's length from his wallet. The author of How to Be Rich despised granting financial favors even to kidnappers, asking ransom for his grandson. Eventually, Getty bought Junior back at a bargain, minus an ear. Getty got high off collecting art and the accompanying tax deductions. He established a J. Paul Getty Trust, believing public access to art would make for a better public. In California today, his collections remain open and ironically free of charge. Interesting. And then Janet Yellen. It says, before the Great Recession, U.S. government economist Janet Yellen sounded private alarms about the collapsing housing market. Who listened? Depression-era economist J.M. Keynes, while rolling in his grave. Like Keynes, Yellen believes government interventions offset recessions and depressions. She tested the theory as chair of the United States Federal Reserve from 2014 to 18, continuing policies she had earlier backed, including a $3 trillion stimulus, Wall Street reform, and consumer protections. Her tenure saw one of the best unemployment improvements in U.S. history, bolstering Yellen's belief that business as usual resumes only when business is usual. Yeah, that's interesting because we do, I was listening to the news the other day, and our unemployment rate is actually a little bit lower than it has been. And I do mean this to be a timeless reading, so it could be different at the time that you're watching this reading, but right now, currently, I think our unemployment rate is somewhat lower than it had been in the past few years. However, there's still talk of recession and larger things happening with finance in the world today, which I don't want to focus on too much because I do believe that this message is meant to be a timeless reading, so kind of want to keep it focused on timeless messages. And I think that there's some good things here as far as money goes, and advice from Spirit. I think an important message that I'm seeing right off is that it is important to always count your pennies and to be frugal. And I think this is important even in prosperous times, always being frugal in life And then with your leftover discretionary funds or funds after you've paid your obligations, your debt, and so forth, then that's when you would be generous and make charitable contributions. But I think frugality, sorry, I'm going to relight this. Frugality is important no matter your income level. I've heard and read before that even millionaires will look for ways to save money, whether that's taking advantage of their credit card points and getting those. I think you can get like cash back off of them, or different types of rewards for using your credit card. But I think even millionaires kind of look to using those perks. And coupons, I know that there's ways to, back in the old days we had to clip coupons and use paper coupons, but they're now, like when you download the grocery store app or whatever, there's still ways that you can add coupons to your grocery accounts. Then when you check out, those coupons are automatically applied. So, and definitely penny pinching and saving where you can. But I think it also points to, like, even when you're doing some of those kind of more fun things. For instance, I took my kids out for a day to the aquarium a couple weeks ago because it was my daughter's birthday. We went to the aquarium and I bought the tickets online. And as I was getting ready to check out, I thought, maybe I should look for a coupon code. And I went and looked for a coupon code, and because I took the couple seconds to look for a coupon code, we ended up saving $5 on admission per person. So it was a savings of $15. And, $15 doesn't buy a lot in this economy today, but, it is equivalent to maybe 3 to 4 gallons of gas, definitely a couple cartons of eggs, and maybe a carton of eggs and milk. But, it's the little things, they add up over time. And I don't know, maybe if you're really struggling with money and finances, a trip to the aquarium isn't necessarily in your budget. But I think the overall point is that we should be looking for those ways to save, even in the prosperous times. So maybe you are a higher income earning household. I think that the message still applies in trying to be frugal, because there's always another way or other ways that you can invest that money. So whether it's money saved going to household needs, or maybe you truly do invest it, put the extra or saved money towards an investment of some sort. So let's see. And then with this card about Janet Yellen, I did think it was interesting that it was pointing to, like, her having her, I thought it said she was in the Fed, but she had a government career. And so I think that it's pointing to maybe looking at ways that you can reach out to government programs if you need to. There's government programs for a lot of things, not just like food assistance or whatever, but there's like housing, emergency housing assistance, and they even have different programs to help with like career services and small business grants. What else do they have? It was on the tip of my tongue and I got distracted. But I think looking at the different types of services, even if they're not government services, but looking at the different ways that you can save money, that maybe it's not like the first option that people usually go to. The other day was scrolling through Instagram and I came across a sponsored ad for a business grant, small owners business grant, and they were giving away a couple thousand to a small business that was in need. And some of those you have to be careful because a lot of them can be scammers, but I think by vetting your sources reliably, looking up the organization and so forth, I think you can weed out who may potentially be a scam. But looking for those different ways that you can save through the different government programs that are out there. And then I did just now get the thought of tax savings. So if there's any other, have you explored all your means of tax savings? There's savings for healthcare. You can have a HSA. Make sure that if you've got large medical expenses, making sure that you're itemizing and itemizing your deductions and keeping track of all those healthcare expenses that can be tax deductible. And then for small business owners, making sure that you are taking advantage of all the tax savings. Sorry, I'm going to like this again, but tax savings and deductions that are available to small business owners. And I think part of this, if you do your own taxes as a small business, part of that is going to be keeping up with the different tax codes and the changes and the updates, because they pretty much make updates, I would say even on a yearly basis. There's some things that are updated, so keep an eye on those types of things. And yeah, so let's see, what else am I getting from that? You can teach a man to fish, but you'll also need to stimulate a fishing industry. So I think it's pointing to knowing, number one, knowing how to do something, or it's not only knowing how to do something, but it's also knowing how to leverage your skill, whatever that is. And that would be money-making skills. So if, I don't know what's a good skill. If you're an artist, how can you best leverage your skill as an artist, or your knowledge of how to make resin earrings or resin art? How can you best leverage that skill to make some extra income for you on the side? And there's a lot of other things that go along with just doing the skill itself. There's social media marketing. There's letting people know that you're available for custom projects or different farmers markets, and really marketing and letting people know that you are selling this service. Because if you don't put the word out there, nobody knows that you exist. So, and then when it rains, make it rain. So when you're raking in sales, or you're I heard when it rains, it pours. So when the good times are good, take advantage of that. Take advantage, stockpile your savings, for a rainy day. Stockpile your savings for a rainy day so you have it, when times are maybe a little bit leaner. So it sounds like it's gonna be, that's some good money advice. Let's see, what else does Spirit have? Just because Susie Orman is under the deck over here, I feel like Spirit's also wanting us to learn, like I had mentioned, making sure we're keeping up with the different tax codes and stuff, but doing our part to increase and grow our financial knowledge, not only about maybe household budgeting on a monthly basis, but there's other things in finance that we can learn about the markets, investing, which types of investments are a little more stable and ones that are a little more aggressive, and depending on your age or financial security, which investments are a good mix for you. So I think always being willing to grow and learn, and looking to others for advice when you need it. Like Susie Orman, she was an educator of finance, and so turning to those experts and leveraging the knowledge of experts when needed, because not everyone is going to know everything about every specialty out there in the world. Sometimes we have to rely on other experts to help us accomplish our goals. And so with money, I feel like you're in, or have been in the past, in a fairly stable or been fairly stable with finances. And this may have been due to a partnership that you have had, possibly with a business partnership, or a friend or a relative, or maybe just between you and a spouse. You both have contributed and worked together as a team, as a couple, as a pair, as partners, and if not, maybe that's what Spirit is telling you that needs to be done. If you're single and you don't have a partner, maybe it's time to look for a roommate or somebody to rent a room in your apartment, or maybe it's time that you go look for a room to rent somewhere, and instead of taking on the burden of a whole apartment as a financial burden, maybe it's sharing that expense with somebody, and maybe downsizing for a little bit until you're back up on your feet. And then I think that it's easy to get caught up in those decisions. We're seeing here with the Eight of Swords and the Two of Wands, like that something needs to be done. And it's very easy to think that we're kind of stuck in our situation, and there aren't, or there may be so many options that we're just, kind of frozen and almost having a fear of moving forward. But I think that, and that can almost be a good place to be, just to kind of ruminate your options and choices, and looking at the different decisions that you have to make. Here it's looking like you maybe have two decisions that you're contemplating amongst. Haven't really made any decisions yet, but I think by leveraging the different resources at your disposal right now, whether it's listening to readings like this, listening to other readings, listening to different financial advice. There's so many resources out there on YouTube as far as financial advice and how to find a side hustle, how to grow your small business, how to grow your Etsy shop. Like, I think by looking to others who have possibly experienced what your situation may be, by looking at their experiences and growing from their experience, it can help you to move forward in those decisions. And I do see here that you will make decision and move forward probably quite quickly after you start really leveraging the resources available to you. The moon here is clarifying the Chariot, which I think when you do make this move, I think you'll be somewhat afraid to move forward and not completely sure about I don't think it's that you'll be unsure. I just think that you'll feel like you're almost have been put in a position of jumping feet first into something that you're not necessarily sure how it can work out or how it will work out, and you're just hoping for the best. But Spirit here with the Chariot card, you're going to be successful in your ventures. And sometimes we or a lot of times, most of the times, I would say that we grow from our experiences when we're not so sure about the outcome. So even if those are, even if in the long run, it turns out to be maybe not the best decision, or maybe the business plan was a complete failure, for instance, it still gives us a valuable lesson in the long run. But here in the recent future, I do see that what you're moving towards is going to lead you in a positive direction. You might feel a little bit of that fear in moving forward, but I think once you do, you'll really be successful. So yeah, well, personal debt. So I'm looking at the Susie Orman card. It says personal debt is a free education in finance. So yeah, risk isn't always worth the risk, and afford to loan good advice. So I think that risk isn't always worth the risk. I think that's you here stuck in the Two of Wands. You're kind of contemplating, like, is it, going to be worth it? Am I gonna be, is this venture going to be successful, or is it going to work out? I do see you making that decision and moving forward, even though you're maybe a little bit afraid to. And the Chariot card is a really good card to get as far as moving forward in a new direction. So personal debt is a free education in finance. I think that kind of goes along with what I had mentioned about maybe things not always working out. Personal debt, sometimes, we may get into debt and be in over our heads. Maybe you need to foreclose on a house. Maybe you need to return a vehicle to the dealership. But at the end of the day, those types of experiences end up being some of the best teachers and lessons in life. There are a lot of successful people who have had bankruptcies in their past, sometimes even a few bankruptcies. You know, they've had failed businesses, foreclosures, all sorts of things. But basically, there's always a lesson there, and it can give you a lesson about how to be resilient and keep moving forward, and to not let one failure or a couple failures or maybe many failures hinder you from making the needed decisions to move forward and move on to other projects and other things, and other ways and means of making more money. So and yeah, with the Three of Pentacles here, I do see working as a partnership with other members in a team. So maybe it's a financial advisor, listening and learning to different financial advisors, even on YouTube, looking for those free resources out there for financial advice. Maybe it's reading a book. Kind of looks like she's doing some yarn work here, but it almost looks like she's reading a book. So learning, building, and growing within the community. I know that a lot of like community colleges have good workshops on personal finance. You can take a workshop or a class on finance. Education, you know, it did have that point to the education in the Susie Orman card. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. We've got the Page of Cups under the deck and the Ace of Pentacles there too. So, you know, you may be pleasantly surprised by a new offer that comes in despite the maybe disappointments that you've had in the past. Just remember that, you know, sometimes we get caught up in looking at the disappointments in life or the things that have happened that haven't been so great, and we forget, you know, there's a whole other host of things out there, opportunities to manifest more money. So I think you will figure it out. It looks like with the Ace of Pentacles here, you know, there will be some type of offer coming in or new start ahead in your future. And with the Chariot card here, I do feel like that will be very successful. The Ace of Pentacles and the Chariot together. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing here for the money messages today. I hope it was helpful. Definitely would ask you, if you enjoyed the message, to like, share, and subscribe. And hopefully you will join me for another reading. All right, thanks.